92% of people who set morning alarms never actually change their mornings. They hit snooze, scroll their phones, rush out the door, and wonder why their days feel chaotic and unproductive. But a small group of people, the ones running billion-dollar companies, winning Olympic medals, and writing best-selling books, have cracked a code that most of us walk past every single morning without even realizing it. The difference between where you are and where you want to be might come down entirely to what happens in the first 60 minutes after you open your eyes. And the most surprising part? The routines that actually work look almost nothing like what the self-help industry has been selling you. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly what the world's most successful people do before most of us even consider getting out of bed. You will see the data behind why mornings matter more than any other time of day, the specific habits used by figures like Tim Cook, Oprah Winfrey, and Howard Schultz, and the one counterintuitive insight that almost nobody in the personal development space is willing to admit, even though the science backs it up completely. Let's start with context. For most of human history, mornings were not a choice. You woke up when the sun rose because that was simply how life worked. Farmers, soldiers, merchants, all of them began at dawn because daylight was the resource everything depended on. There was no electricity, no Netflix keeping people up until 2 in the morning, and no smartphone waiting on the nightstand. Rising early was not a productivity hack. It was survival. But something interesting happened when industrialization changed everything. Suddenly, people could stay up late and still function. Factory shifts started at fixed hours. The relationship between sunrise and productivity became decoupled for the first time in human history. And yet, the people at the top of every field, the ones with the most freedom, the most output, and the most impact, kept returning to early mornings. Not because they had to, because they discovered something the data would eventually confirm. A 2019 study published in Nature Communications analyzed the genetics and sleep patterns of over 400,000 people and found that morning people reported higher levels of life satisfaction, lower rates of depression, and significantly better performance metrics across professional categories. This was not about getting more sleep. It was specifically about when that activity happened in the day. So what are the most successful people actually doing with those early hours? Let us break it down person by person, habit by habit. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, wakes up at 3:45 in the morning. Not 4:30. Not 5. 3:45. He reads user comments and emails first, which might seem like the opposite of every productivity guru's advice. They all tell you never to check email in the morning. But Cook does this deliberately. He calls it staying connected to the ground level of what Apple actually is. After that, he hits the gym. He separates the information intake from the physical output, and the sequence matters more than either habit alone. Oprah Winfrey wakes up without an alarm clock. She has spoken extensively about the importance of waking naturally, allowing her body to signal readiness rather than forcing it. Her morning includes 20 minutes of meditation, a workout, and what she describes as intentional silence before the noise of the day begins. There is something deeply important in that phrase, intentional silence. Not passive quiet. Active, deliberate stillness. Howard Schultz, the man who built Starbucks into a global empire, wakes at 4:30 every morning and walks his dogs before doing anything else. The physical movement, the fresh air, the absence of screens, it grounds him before strategy sessions and executive decisions begin. He has said that those early morning minutes are where his best ideas actually come from. But here is what nobody talks about when they list off these celebrity routines. The habit itself is almost secondary to the function it serves. Every single one of these routines creates what neuroscientists call a cortisol optimization window. When you first wake up, your cortisol levels spike naturally. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and it peaks roughly 30 to 45 minutes after waking. Cortisol gets a bad reputation as the stress hormone, but in this morning window, it is actually your brain's natural performance enhancer. It sharpens focus, increases alertness, and prepares your system for complex thinking. The problem is that most people immediately destroy this window. They check social media, which triggers emotional reactivity. They watch news, which floods the brain with anxiety signals. They hit snooze repeatedly, which fragments their sleep cycles and leaves them in a foggy state called sleep inertia for up to 2 hours afterward. Every one of those choices is essentially throwing away the most neurologically powerful window your brain offers you all day. Successful people protect that window like it is money, because for them, it genuinely is. Michelle Obama has spoken about waking at 4:30 to exercise before her daughters woke up, specifically because it was the only time in her day that belonged entirely to her. The discipline was not about fitness alone. It was about ownership. When you begin your day with an action that belongs to you and no one else, you establish psychological control over the entire day before external demands begin pulling you in different directions. Now let us talk about the counterintuitive insight that most productivity channels will not touch. Not every successful person is a 5 a.m. riser. Winston Churchill famously worked from bed until 11 in the morning. Franz Kafka wrote his most important novels between 11 at night and 3 in the morning. More recently, Aaron Sorkin, the screenwriter behind The Social Network and The West Wing, has described a late morning start as essential to his creative process. What these people share is not the hour. It is the intentionality. They designed a protected block of time, whenever it fell in their day, where external demands could not reach them, where the mind could operate at its highest level without fragmentation. The 5 a.m. crowd found that time in early mornings because the world had not yet woken up to interrupt them. The night owls found it in the quiet after midnight for exactly the same reason. So the actual insight is this. A morning routine is not about the morning. It is about creating a structured buffer between sleep and the demands of the world. The most successful people are not just early risers. They are ruthless architects of their own mental environment. Research from the American Psychological Association supports this. Studies on willpower and decision fatigue consistently show that self-regulation is a finite resource. Every decision you make throughout the day draws from the same cognitive pool. People who exercise, meditate, journal, or engage in any form of intentional activity before external demands begin, start that day with their decision-making pool full. Everyone else starts already depleted. Jeff Bezos has been open about protecting his first few hours for reading, thinking, and what he calls puttering. He avoids scheduling important meetings before 10 in the morning. His reasoning is direct, his brain is freshest then, and he saves his most critical decisions for when that freshness is intact. He is not just managing time. He is managing cognitive resources. This is the practical application most people miss entirely. When you design your morning, you are not just filling time. You are choosing which version of yourself shows up for the rest of the day. The rushed, reactive version who started by scrolling bad news and skipping breakfast? Or the grounded, focused version who moved their body, fed their mind intentionally, and arrived at the first real challenge of the day with energy still in reserve? The evidence is overwhelming. The routines of the most successful people are not magic rituals. They are deliberate systems for protecting cognitive and emotional resources before the world gets its hands on them. Whether that happens at 4 in the morning or after a long, quiet breakfast at 9, the principle is identical. Start designing your buffer. Protect your best mental hours. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Get Up Life for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.